in these hard economic times, in these hard political times, in these hard, difficult, challenging spiritual times, you think that it's a good idea for a man to take on a woman? These same women who are getting online expressing how ungrateful they are, taking men's children away, putting men on child support, taking half of their stuff when they get divorced, just causing chaos in their life, causing drama. You act like, oh, because I have my genitalia, since I have this private part, I'm the prize. No, the prize is who's ever in demand. And women...
That right there. That right there. The prize is what's ever in demand. This is just economics. Right? This is nothing personal. This is just economics, and like most things, they end up being cyclical. They change over time. Right now, when I grew up, there was a time when, being a prize, a woman was a prize. You were sought after, you were desired, you were mysterious, you were complex, you were incredible. And then things changed as we all got to understand, you're just kind of human, kind of just like us. And then as time continues to march forward, as it does, you're showing to us like, I don't really like you. That's what women were saying. Collectively, hey, I don't really like you. Like even if it's a minority, it's a vocal minority that out there telling men, you ain't shit, I don't need you, I never needed you. And the minute I get my bag up, I'm going to reflect that. I don't need you. I want to do everything you do. I want to have a roster. I want to go out there and work. I want to make my mark on the world. All fine things, do it. It's just now the demand changed when you said, these are the type of men we like. These successful, these hyper successful men. And then when they started to emerge from the bunch and they're looking now and they say, okay, that is the prize. There's few of those men now, right? The Pareto principle, you want 20% of the men, maybe 10% of the men. So when you look at those that made that category, how could those not be the prize? And just pure economic terms, right? Pure economic terms. And before you get mad at that and you want to expound that, you want to say you're prized because you can create life, but that used to be a thing that was sacred, that was held in the bounds of marriage. Now, I think there's 70% of babies born in the Black community born outside of marriage. So even that thing that was once sacred has now become plebeian. Everyone has access to it. If everyone has access to the castle and everyone can sleep in the castle and everyone can dine in the castle, then royalty doesn't really mean much. We're all in there. We're all doing the same thing. Before we continue, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss no uploads. Still trying to do it 2 a day. Still trying to keep the momentum going, keep the discipline going. Like the very first video on this channel, for those of you that were around then, I really appreciate you still being here. And every new subscriber, I appreciate you guys. I love that, have the conversation. So when I have time, I catch you guys inside the comment section. I love that. It proof positive that this channel makes a difference. So let it continue.
Are not in demand anymore. There's way too many of us. We've gotten online and made it clear that we're way too easy. We're way too promiscuous. We do anything strange for a little bit of change. There's literally no incentive anymore. What is the point?
Yeah, we came online and we just kind of showed each other our asses. And we made, you see plenty of women talking absolutely like sailors, like they're men, and it's just about how, I've got this, I give this, I want to get cracked. All this is put out there, so men are looking and saying, okay, I don't. Before we follow dating wise, we follow the cues. You hold access to sex, and when those doors became open, you can call it first, third wave feminism. When you wanted to be able to do everything a man could do, especially his sexual liberation, you wanted to free the nipple, cool. Keep going, open your legs wide and wider. Men who are desirous of that, they're saying, I used to have to touch the brass ring for this. I have access to so many women. I used to have to be somebody. Now I just have to imitate the things that make you excited. You just gotta have swag, right? I gotta spend this money. It's okay. Let me do this as fast as possible so I can have access to the thing that I want as fast as possible. If, quick thought experiment, if women were like, no, you have to be something. You have to be somebody. A degree, a career, a business, a certain amount of aptitude, a certain amount of status, and a certain amount of standing. Not the tippity top making this the like a pyramid where only the men it's up. But if you raise your standards of access, men would eventually raise their bar. It's how men have always been. If you're holding the treat, if you're holding the candy, if you're holding the meal, you're holding everything they want, especially just in terms of guiding lust and desire, you're holding that. Yeah, they got to fall in. If they did not, and I get it's unrealistic, but if they did not have access to you outside of accomplishing these things, yeah, then they say, oh, I got to do these things. I want that so bad. That's such a driving factor in my life. Let me go out here and make something of myself. If that was the norm, then we would see different things. But we've got too many factors going on at once, convincing you that no, your liberation, your freedom, whatever you want to do, it's up to you whenever you want to do it. The fact is, a lot of you want sex the same way men want sex, and you don't want to wait for men to be these things, or you don't want these men that already accomplish these things and they're older. You want what you want it now, and that's a societal issue. I'm not gonna put that on women. But the cause and effect of that is saying it's open. And if it's open, it's available for everyone, just like the castle again. Yeah, then its worth kind of diminishes. Then we have this notion, we have this understanding that the more access, the more times you've had sex, the less special it is, the less pressure it is for you to perform for that. You've tasted the fruit already, and it's like, okay, it's great. But after a while, it loses some of its novelty. So now you're like, okay, no, I'd rather sleep, right? You get that, what you do in text, I'd much rather actually sleep, right? I'd rather do this than that. That's when you start getting this disconnect. That's when you start getting the separation. But that doesn't mean that suddenly you like, oh, let me clean up my act. Let me be more selective. No, you have a plethora of men to choose from. You can always get attention. You can always get access. So again, that just ends up devaluing it.
It's all risk and little to no reward. And we get on the internet and we display it every single day. When you're taking on a woman, all you're doing is taking on challenges. And the main reason to still want a woman, which is to have children, half of y'all have gotten online and made it clear that y'all don't even want to be mothers anymore. Y'all don't want to have children. So what is the point?
You don't want to have children. Sure, I think there's a growing number of women that were deciding that you shouldn't shame them, like feminism about just a choice. They don't want to have children. That's fine, right? That's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if children are not coming after marriage, then again, the access thing becomes an issue. You can do that with almost anyone. And I get it. Some men are going to be there and they're not going to show you who they are because they simply want to have a child with you. Yeah, there's a subset of men that are, just awful. I'm not discounting that. But the access and ability to have a child right now, we're at 77%. Last I checked the statistics of children in the Black community that come from unwed parents. 77%. Like that's the majority. So if marriage or union as such is not a requirement, then the access is once again wide open. It's hard to make the argument that that's special now.
What is the point? What is the incentive? Why are we acting like we don't understand? Why are we walking around still thinking that we're the prize, thinking that someone should want us when we're not giving anything worth wanting? What are you worth that's worth wanting?
So whenever you bring up this question, and as you try to bring it up accurately, when you say, well, what do you bring to the table? Well, we see how that question and questions like that end up in the same sort of trash bin. You don't want to have to justify your worth because you probably never thought about what you bring to a relationship. It's always, what is a man lacking in terms of relationships? And not just men. It's honestly, it's the men that you find yourself engaged in. If you don't understand your worth and your value and what you can potentially bring to a relationship, how do you expect to get the best of the men around you? How do you expect to have access to better men, a better class of men, if you don't know what you actually are putting out there. It's a blind dating the blind, and then the blind humping the blind, and then the blind raising a child that we hope is not blind. But we see the effects of that. We don't have to watch entire different generations over longitudinal studies to see what it is. You just kind of open your eyes and look at the data for yourself, and look at, even anecdotally, look at how the people around you have grown up. Look at their relationships. Look what's happening. Listen, you don't take my word from me. If you think I'm wrong, if you have something, you've got a disagreement, if you got something to add, let me know down in the comments. You see other videos on your screen right now, take a look at those. Let me know your thoughts about those in those videos. And of course, if you made it to the end of this video, you haven't subscribed, I think you should. We're trying to build something dope here. I'll see you in the next one.